everybody, welcome back to Jessica's Reading Room. My name is Kim and we're here for another monthly wrap-up video. We are here for the month of May 2021. Another crazy month, but since when, has there ever been a month that hasn't been crazy here at Jessica's Reading Room? I kind of doubt it, so, All right, let's just get into it. What Kim read in the month of May. I have to admit, I'm pretty impressed with myself. Like, when I was preparing to do the video, I was like, oh, great, I'm only going to have like a couple of books to show. But no, actually, I'm pretty happy. All right, nice big pile. And within the pile, some pretty good books too. So, yes. All right, so first, we will start with the Chronicles of Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. This one I have read before. If you guys remember, I would assume I announced it somewhere on Jessica's Reading Room. My New Year's resolution was that I was going to read the entire Chronicles of Narnia series. So far, I have read The Magician's Nephew and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which unfortunately is not that big of an accomplishment because I had already read those before. But that's okay. But that's all right, because we are still working on it. We are not even halfway through the year yet. So you know what? I'm okay. I'm not freaking out yet. There are like multiple beach vacations coming up here soon. So I'm just chilling about it because I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's okay. Relax. So there you go. And I loved it. It was the second time I read it. I thought it was awesome. I really loved it. I'm not sure what else there is to say. I really liked it. It was awesome. Okay. All right. Moving on. Next, we have, thanks to Becky over at Bookies for giving me this suggestion, 4 Years Trapped in My Mind Palace by Johan Twiss. Now, this one, I have to admit, I kind of went into this one a little, Basically, this entire story is a kid who is in a coma, who is stuck in his own head. Okay, I'm sorry. He's not in a coma. Let me rephrase. He has whole body paralysis, okay? But he's conscious, he's awake. The only problem is that nobody knows he's awake until this older gentleman is put in his room at the assisted living facility and, strangely enough, is able to read his mind. And basically the entire book is their relationship, learning to cope with being stuck in his own head. I was going into this thinking, well, how much could possibly happen in this book if the kid is stuck in his own head? But I couldn't put it down. I thought it was awesome. It was really good. Like, this is one of those books where I'm like, you know what, maybe I should get this for my mom, because I have this feeling my mom would probably really love this. It was awesome. I fell in love with all the characters. It was one of those books that by the time I got to the end, I'm sitting there going, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry. Okay, everything's fine. I thought it was amazing. I loved it. Pretty sure I gave it 5 out of 5. If I didn't give it 5 out of 5, I need to go and fix it because it should be 5 out of 5. So thank you, Becky, for this excellent suggestion. Okay, next we have The Nesting by C.J. Cook. This was a random find off of the horror shelf in Barnes and Noble. I decided to go with it. Basically, this family is trying to build a vacation home in Norway. This woman comes in as a nanny and a lot of weird stuff starts happening. The wife and mother has passed away, so this nanny is coming in trying to help these kids and her husband, this man, and the household adjust after the death of the wife and mother, and it's a lot of weird stuff starts happening, and it's like, it starts feeling like the Norwegian wilderness is fighting back against, people coming in and trying to tame it. And was it my favorite horror book? No. Was it good? And I'm glad I read it? Yes. I thought it was interesting. It held my attention. So, you know what? Hey, why not? Here. I realize that I'm waving stuff around. It's going to be one of those videos, guys. And hey, look, you see this? Can you see it? I dyed my hair green. I know you can't like totally see it because it's definitely subtle, but if you look, you can see the green tinge. Yep. Oh my gosh, thank you, Arthur Fleck, for your wonderful inspiration. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. See, I was gonna say I need coffee, but it's like the middle of the night, so that I don't think that's what I need. Okay, moving on. Next, we have Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I've been on a Bradbury kick. You guys know my first ever Bradbury book was The Martian Chronicles. Loved it, blew my mind. I have been wanting to read Fahrenheit 451 for a long time. And I mean, we're talking about stretching it all the way back to high school. When I first learned kind of sort of about it, it wasn't assigned reading, which I can't really say I'm surprised. But the older I've gotten, the more I've matured, the more I've actually started identifying the kind of things that I enjoy reading. I said, you know what? It's about time I finally picked it up. So glad I did. Oh my gosh. This book terrified me. Like, legit terrified me. And I mean, I've read Orwell, Animal Farm, 1984. I mean, reading 1984 scared me. But there was just something about this book that as I'm reading it, I kept applying things to current day, today, now, and it was so easily applied, and so it freaking terrified me. And I mean, if you look, I underlined stuff like crazy. As I'm reading, I'm like underlining stuff, which normally I don't really do things like that. It's only just recently that I have started kind of marking stuff that's important to me. But I mean, I kept reading aloud to Ivan. Like, I'm sitting there on the couch reading, he's sitting there playing his video game, and I'm like, okay, are you at a good pausing point? He's like, yeah. I said, okay, pause it. And then I would read something to him, and his eyes would get really wide, and I'm like, I know, right? It's flippin' terrifying. So this is one of those books that, like, every teenager should be reading. I totally get why it's on the banned book list. I get it. But it shouldn't be banned, and everybody should read this book. Like, I mean, it blew my mind. I thought it was awesome. Okay, and yes, I'm fixing my hair. I'm sorry. You guys know that I randomly do things like that as I go along. Okay, next. This one I'm pretty dang proud about. It is Salem's Lot. Ugh, it's huge. Look at it. Look at this tome that I read. Right? Oh my gosh. Anyway. So I read Salem's Lot, the illustrated edition by Stephen King. It was crazy. I mean, there were certain places in this book where I was like, okay, that's flippin' terrifying. That's scary. I admit it is not my favorite Stephen King book, but that's okay, because this one, it's one of those like slow burn, where you have to tell like this entire story before you start noticing that something is wrong. But then when you do notice something is wrong, it still takes a while for you to realize that something is actually wrong. So I admit that the pacing was not my favorite thing from this book, but it was still an excellent story. Scary. I mean, Ivan keeps saying, he's like, well, can we watch the movie now? And I'm like, okay, let's watch the movie now. As soon as we get some free time, yes, that's fantastic. Let's watch the movie. So like I said, this isn't my favorite Stephen King book, but I'm really glad I read it. I liked it. I thought it was really good. So there you go. I mean, if you like vampires, oh, I hope I didn't just give something away. I don't think I did. Everybody knows Salem's Lot is about vampires, right? Pretty sure they do. If you don't, then maybe you shouldn't live under a rock. I mean, I'm not even, even before I started reading Stephen King, I knew his vampires. Okay, all right, let's just keep going, shall we? If you did not know that, how about you just pretend you didn't hear it? And now you should go read it. Okay, all right. Next, we have The Children of Red Peak by Craig DeLuey. Oh my gosh, I almost dropped the book. This one, another find from the horror shelf at Barnes & Noble. This one, I mean, this one has got a doomsday cult in it, and I mean, you guys know that I'm all about a cult. So, I mean, are you surprised? You shouldn't be surprised. Okay. Basically, have I even been giving synopses as I'm going? I don't even know. You guys know I wing these. I mean, how many years have we been doing this? And I still wing every video that I do. Okay, basically these five kids are the only survivors of a doomsday cult communal suicide. And the death of one of these survivors 20-ish years later brings them together. They start doing a lot of remembering. Basically, it's all about childhood trauma. It's all about looking at doomsday cults from the inside, the lasting effects. I have to admit there were some metaphorical things in this that kind of left me feeling unfulfilled. But then again, there were a lot of things that I really liked about it. And I haven't done a review yet, so I should probably save all this rambling for the review. Maybe I'll do a video. It's a good idea. Okay. Anyway, it was really good. It's a cult. It's a doomsday cult. I mean, I liked it. I thought it was really good. So, but dang, we're in like all good books. Oh, okay. This one might be my least favorite of the month. This one is The German House by Annette Hess. This one was weird. Apparently this is her first book, and you can tell it's her first book. Like, sometimes you kind of get that feeling. The story felt really incomplete. Well, let me tell you about it. Basically, the trials for the camp workers of Auschwitz is happening in Frankfurt. You get a look at the prosecution team. This girl, whose name is Eva, she is hired to be the translator from German to Polish, or Polish to German. And it's just kind of this whole big long thing. I don't really want to say much because I don't want to give stuff away. There is a little bit of a twist, which I did find interesting. But all the characters, they seem really shallow, and they seem really... I'm not sure if something got lost in the translation, because Annette Hess wrote it in German and then it was translated, so I feel like maybe something got lost in the translation. The story really felt incomplete to me. I mean, not my favorite of the Holocaust fiction. It just wasn't... It didn't do anything for me, unfortunately. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I like mini aspirated on you. I'm so sorry about that. Okay, all right. Next, we have Come Forth in Thaw by Jason Robert Ducharme. Ta-da. Now this one, this cover. You know my feelings. You guys know me by now. And I'm not even gonna lie that I mainly bought this book for the cover. Just morbid like that. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't know. But anyway, so I actually follow Jason on Instagram. I started seeing this book kind of all over. He is an indie author, so I said, you know what? That cover is fantastic. I read the synopsis. Basically, it's kind of taking the idea of the Japanese suicide forest and Americanizing it. And I mean, I'm glad I read it. It was an interesting read. I have to say that the idea of the book was a little better than the book itself. I did actually do a video review. It is already posted if you'd like to hear more about that. Go ahead and watch the review. Again, I'm glad I read it. I'm glad I read it. Jason, he seems to be an interesting author. I would like to try reading some of his other stuff. I'm glad I read it. It was pretty good. There were interesting things in it. Go read my review. If you want to know more about it, go read my review. And this cover. This is definitely going to be in the most gorgeous cover tournament, so just saying. Boom. All right, next. Ooh, another indie author. This is oh my gosh. Fiona's Guardians by Dan Klefstad. Ta-da. This one, I actually read a portion of this book back when he was still working on it. Dang, that was a while ago. I don't even remember when that was, but I'm pretty sure it hadn't been published yet. So he offered to let me and Jessica read, little excerpts from the story to see what we thought. So, I mean, it's been on my list for a long time. It ended up being on sale on Amazon, so I bought it, and I read it, and I have to say, I haven't done a review yet, so this is new information coming out. This is one of those books where I think it should have been stretched into a series. Like, that was kind of my main thing, is it felt like there was like this huge saga condensed down into one book, and therefore it kind of lost a little bit. I mean, it's really good. It's basically about this vampire and her plethora of guardians. It is tradition that a vampire has a mortal human guardian who actually procures all the blood for them, etc., etc. A lot of stuff happens. You got this, SWAT team from the Vatican whose whole task is to come and eliminate vampires, and it's a lot of stuff happens in this book. I just feel like if it were stretched into a series and all of that information was, given more space and given more detail, it would have been better. But I mean, it was an interesting story with interesting characters. Thought it was good. Thought it was excellent. All right. And then last but not least, we have Final Girls by Riley Sager. Now, strangely enough, when I bought this book, I did not actually realize that I had already read a book by Riley Sager this year. It was The Home Before Dark. And I already read it. Already reviewed it. Pretty sure I already reviewed it. I really enjoyed it, but actually I liked this one better. Basically, this girl, her name is, Quincy. Her name is Quincy. She survived a serial killer massacre back when she was in college, and she has now been initiated into the group called The Final Girls. It is a horror movie trope that the last girl standing at the end of a horror story is known as the final girl. Okay, if she survives, she's known as a horror girl. Laurie Strode, the chick from Texas Chainsaw Massacre who rides away in the truck, whose name I'm having a hard time remembering. Okay. You'll figure it out. Anyway, those are Final Girls. And basically, Quincy is trying to cope with her past trauma. One of the other Final Girls who was in this group is found dead. Nobody knows exactly what happened. Quincy is, again, trying to cope with all of this. It's this nice big mystery with lots of twists and turns. And it's one of those things where the twist totally caught me by surprise, but yet I didn't feel stupid afterwards. So Sager managed to walk that line really well, and I really liked it. I thought this book was really good. If you like those kind of murder mystery type thriller books, you'd really like this one. So, all right, there we go. Let's see. How many books did Kim read? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 books. Yay! Here I was thinking I was only going to read 4 this month. That is excellent. That's just wonderful. Okay. All right. So worst and least, definitely worst and least. Best and worst for this month. Oh my gosh. I don't know if we're ever actually going to get that correct during any of these videos. I guess we'll see. Okay. Best was definitely 4 Years Trapped in My Mind Palace. It was amazing. It's true. I haven't written the review yet, so hold on to that. It is coming. This book blew my mind. It was awesome. I really loved it. And I will say that The German House was my least favorite. Again, it was just so incomplete. It just felt really shallow. Okay. I feel really bad because this is her first book, so she's probably going to get better. So just wait until her next book comes out, and then we'll all probably like it. Okay. All right. There we go. So, favorite? least favorite. Boom. Okay, so there we go. That is what Kim read. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any suggestions on how to make the channel or the blog better, we'd love to hear from you down in the comments. If you have any book suggestions for me, I would absolutely love to hear them again down in the comments. If you have actually recommended a book, don't worry. It's in the back of my brain. I just haven't gotten to them yet. So there you go. All right. There it is. There's the month of May 2021. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next month. Bye.